All right, guys, welcome back to another video. So this has been going around social media. It's a very interesting part from the CMA's provisional findings, and it has to do with Sony, PlayStation, and Call of Duty, and just how important they are making it out to be in terms of their first-party content. This is a tweet here from Derek Strickland from Tweaktown. It says here, in CMA Phase 1 responses, Sony makes an interesting claim that third-party franchises like Call of Duty inadvertently help fund first-party games development, implying that without hits like Call of Duty, Sony may not be able to serve up high-profile single-player games. And this is the exact thing that they showed off here from the CMA. I'll just pull up the picture here so we can take a look at it. And this is, again, another big section from the CMA. Section 27 says, fourth, Microsoft's foreclosing strategy would cause SIE to lose significant revenues, diminishing its ability to fund further investment. And that's a point here. Well, they've offered Call of Duty to keep it on their platform, so they're still going to be making that money at least for 10 years to be able to continue to invest and then continue to grow with Call of Duty bringing in a ton of revenue. But at the same time, this deal is huge for Xbox because not only will they help fund PlayStation by the money they will make on their platform by keeping the game there, PlayStation will also be helping fund Microsoft and Xbox for all of their future games because they will be paying the amount they were paying to Activision directly to their competition, which is Xbox. Continues here and says PlayStation users that play Call of Duty generated around a redacted percentage of total spending, around a redacted in billions on hardware peripherals, subscriptions, games, and other PlayStation services. Those numbers would be just vital and very interesting to see if any of this stuff makes sense, because those numbers have to be massive from what they are saying here, that it literally is funding their first party content, and literally without Call of Duty they won't be able to make good first party games anymore. It continues here and says the loss of all or a significant portion of these users together with their associated revenues and profits would severely diminish SIE's ability and incentive to invest in future hardware innovation and gaming technologies. Cornerstone Research and RBB Economics estimate that switching rates of redacted percentage could lead to a redacted percentage reduction in SIE's profits. This would in turn also reduce the potential return on producing innovative first-party games, thereby diminishing SIE's ability and incentive to invest in new games. So they're arguing here, the CMA is saying, because of these numbers, because of these percentages, and because of the information that has come out of these research firms and these economic companies, that they will not be able to create first-party games at SIE anymore if they do not have Call of Duty, which is just absolutely crazy to think about. Now, these are the numbers I believe PlayStation provided, which I think why it's so important for the subpoena that Microsoft has given to PlayStation to get their actual financials and their more business side of stuff, to see how these numbers actually correlate to what is being said in these CMA provisional findings. And right now, as we know, PlayStation is doing their best to try to quash the subpoena, continuously getting it put off, and the courts granting them extension after extension after extension. So we'll see if those numbers do come out. But that's crazy to think about, that Call of Duty alone on the PlayStation platform is being argued that it would stop Sony from being able to create innovative first-party games and continue to grow their entire business, as well as create incentives for innovating with new hardware and peripherals in the future, like PSVR 2 just came out. So without Call of Duty, apparently they're not going to be able to do any of that stuff. And I don't know how much I actually believe that to be true. It's one game. Yes, it generates a ton of revenue, but if that's the only thing holding your business up, then your business was not doing very well to begin with. I mean, that's the only game that they are saying is essentially making SIE what SIE is today and making it run and giving them the ability to actually make first-party games. Derek Strickland continues on here and says, we have to wonder just how much money Sony makes from Call of Duty alone, but the argument could be made that any game sold on PlayStation Store could technically help fund first-party titles. And of course, every game that's sold through the PlayStation Network helps fund the first-party titles, which is why they try to get you staying within the PlayStation Network and buying all of your games digitally. That's what PlayStation wants. That's why they want to phase out the disc drive. That's why they have the digital version. And then we've heard the rumor that they're going to be creating just a digital version of the PlayStation 5 with the disc drive sold separately, so that more people have less incentives to actually ever purchase physical games. They want to keep you within the network, so you're continuously spending money. Microsoft has done a better job at that. They obviously want the same thing too at Xbox, but they've done a better job, as from what we are seeing from results that come out every month. I think MPD results and these results in the UK for financials and revenues, is that I believe Xbox is the more digital platform right now, which is going to help them in the long run for their entire ecosystem. Then he says, then again, not every franchise sells 25 million copies in 1 year. And people are talking about this. A lot of people don't really believe it, saying that they're lying. It's just trying to prove a point that they really need Call of Duty, without they are going to fail. But if this is true, that is a massive thing. And I think it just speaks to the overall business of PlayStation, especially as PlayStation is known for their first party games. People love to think that is the cornerstone of the PlayStation platform. But clearly, if it's Call of Duty holding it up, and if it's the only thing that if it gets taken away, they're going to just crumble, it says a lot about the PlayStation business, in my opinion. And then we have this year, we talked about this in my video yesterday, where Phil Spencer was tweeted in that Times article saying, this is an important acquisition for us. It's not some linchpin to the long-term. Xbox will exist if this deal doesn't go through. So Phil Spencer is saying Xbox isn't banking on this deal going through for Xbox to continue to exist. But we have Andy Robinson here from VGC. I believe he is the owner and editor. He is the owner and editor of VGC News. And he says this: regardless of Spencer's words, I know a lot of industry pundits think that Microsoft selling off Xbox is a genuine possibility, and that if this deal is blocked, I still expect it to go through with concessions. And you have people responding to him, going back at him in what he is saying here. So he thinks that if this deal doesn't go through, there is a possibility that there will be no more Xbox. They are just going to sell off the division and Xbox will be gone as we know it, which I think a lot of people will be very disappointed about, because it is a very popular and good brand and platform right now within gaming. We have Tom Warren here saying, not sure who these industry pundits are, but they're clearly clueless. You don't strategically acquire Mojang and Bethesda and form a Microsoft gaming division if you're going to sell off the Xbox business, if your giant $69 billion deal doesn't go through. And that's the thing. They've continued to grow. They've been acquiring stuff. They just bought Bethesda. They're growing Xbox Game Studios out. So why would they go off and sell the business if this deal doesn't happen? Andy Robinson says capitalism has proven time and time again that conventional logic really doesn't matter much if the graph doesn't point up enough. I don't expect it to happen, but I can say with authority that some important people do. So I wonder who these important people are. You have Tim Dog jumping in here. Can't be taken seriously when you are saying these pundits and hide them in secrecy and don't say they say this. If you believe it and that's your opinion, stand behind it and give it. Otherwise, don't bring up bullshit and stuff we can't prove or validate. Come on, Andy. And that's the thing as well. He's saying pundits. He's not giving names. There's obviously a reason he's not giving names. There's two reasons. One, he's either making it up, which I don't believe. And two, is because he's protecting his relationships. He doesn't want these relationships to fail going forward so he can get more information from these people. That's why he's not giving the names. But still, saying something like this is a huge deal from somebody who is the owner and editor of VGC News, thinking that if this deal doesn't go through, there's a possibility there will be no more Xbox. You have Jez coming in here saying there's absolutely zero possibility of this happening during Satya and Phil's tenure. But after, who knows? And I think that's actually a pretty valid question and a pretty valid thing to think. Like, Phil Spencer and Satya Nadella clearly are all in on Xbox. But we don't know who's going to come next, and we don't know what their line of thinking is, their business strategy is. And they may come in and say that there's not enough money being made from Xbox. They are profitable, they are making money, but we need to take the investments from Xbox and put it into the parts of the business that are making more money. You never know. That is always a possibility, but that's a possibility, I think, in any business that happens. So we'll see. I mean, I don't believe for a second that if this deal doesn't go through, they're going to sell off Xbox. Just of everything that we've seen with the growth and the investments that they have been making and the future. If you're looking long term, Xbox, I think, have themselves set up the best within the gaming industry with Game Pass and with cloud gaming. But I'm going to leave the video there, guys. Let me know what you think about all of this stuff. The fact that Call of Duty is apparently holding up the entirety of PlayStation and their first party content, and apparently, according to Andy Robinson from VGC News, that Xbox may sell off if this deal doesn't go through. If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up. If you're new, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.